Hello and welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense. I'm your host, The Backbone. Thank you for joining me today. And gentlemen, it's a sick world, and it's only getting sicker. Today we have a little clip here from our girl Megyn Kelly. She describes herself as a conservative. I don't know if any woman can be a conservative, but she has a clip here with Anna Kasparian, who used to be on the Young Turks, that sicko show that is just they're just wildly liberal and just so out of touch. They examine a clip of a woman who breaks up with her boyfriend because of the fact that he is conservative and she is ultra liberal. Now, this guy here, and we're gonna look at the clip of both what Megyn Kelly and this woman have to say and what this liberal nut job has to say. But this guy here has just avoided one of the greatest landmines a man can avoid. And we'll talk about lost love in the man memo, but he's probably feeling like crap right now because he lost this girl, uh, or he thinks he lost this girl. She lost him. But men tend to always get upset over breakups because women replace us much quicker than we replace them. Women don't have love in their heart. We know that they are inherently evil. So they will replace you with another guy. They probably have somebody on standby anyway. We all know that. But we're going to look at not only the liberal woman and her nuttiness and her vapidness. She is as vapid and as unlovable as a person can get. But we're also going to examine what Megyn Kelly and Anna Kasparian have to say about conservative women and women wanting it all. Because women have this thing where they want it all. They want the career, they want the house, they want the husband, they want the kids, they want the dog, they want the white picket fence, they want the car. But at the same time, they're saying, well, men, you have to step up and help us have it all. And what happened to the good old days when the most important job a woman could have was bringing a man's children into the world and nurturing them into the people that would contribute to society? Isn't that having it all? Isn't being a beautiful mother of a beautiful family and keeping a beautiful home, isn't that having it all? Do you have to be a slave to a boss or a corporation that's going to replace you the minute you die or you retire? I don't know. This is just wackiness. And here is Megyn and Anna Kasparian. We're gonna play this clip here, and we're gonna see what these chicks have to say. Let's make this a big screen here. Let's do this, Brutus.
Viral video. I'm sure you saw it going around on the internet. I saw it on X, but I'm sure it's on Insta and TikTok and all of them, of this liberal woman who says she broke up with her boyfriend over politics. And this has engendered so many strong feelings in the comments section. Wherever it gets posted, here's a bit of it in South 38.
So I am obviously very much everyone knows that I'm a liberal woman. My brother's gay. All my friends are gay. Also like abortion rights, female rights. But anyways, so I would always ask him, I'd be like,
big red flag there when you hear that fake laugh. This, you can tell she's absolutely insane. Who could deal with this? Who would want to bring this home to their parents? I mean, she's just right there. That's like 17 red flags for me.
What's your politics? Where do you lean? And he was just like, well, socially I'm a liberal, but economically I'm a Republican.
Now, if he spoke like this, like, oh, I'm socially, she's just trying to emasculate him to make him out to be some inferior little boy. This is what women usually do. They usually attack a man on the size of his package, or he's, oh, you're fat, or you're this, you're that, you don't make enough money for me, you're not. They never judge a man on his character, on his intelligence. They always will attack a man on his masculinity, and that's what this broad's doing right here.
Fuck that. Okay, fuck this. This is my last straw. Again, I'm a very liberal woman. I have to date someone that is on the same page as me because I can't disagree with someone on something that is so important to me for the rest of my life. I fully respect Republicans. I understand that you want to vote that way, but for me, I don't want to marry you and I don't want to date you. So we ended it. And no regrets. I've been single ever since. It was awesome. It's been awesome.
Yeah, she's so
Here's what you can expect.
you could tell how happy she is from being single because she has to go on social media and announce that she's single and happy. And that is the first sign of a woman who is in absolute distress and traumatized. She probably came from a household that was as dysfunctional as can be. She's claiming that all of her friends are gay and her brother's gay. And I mean, she has no traditional fabric, you can tell. And she is so into herself and she's so into this nonsense of politics. I worked for politicians. I worked with politicians. Politicians could care less about people. The only time they care about you is on that Tuesday in November when you have to pull that lever to vote for them. That's the only time they care about you. Other than that, they could give two hoots about your life, your family, your well-being. They don't care. And people who are conservative to the core and liberal to the core, all these Trumpers and people who voted for Kamala Harris people and Obama people, they're lost. They have nothing else to give to society. They have no life at all. These are people who are lost in this political wilderness. But let's see what Megan and Anna have to say.
Every man I follow on X had the same response. Dodged a bullet there, man. Congrats.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just, before we get to the substance of I won't date a guy who doesn't share my politics, she's extremely unlikable. She's caustic. She's smug. She said there's an arrogance to her. Like, it's my way or the highway. I know better. I mean, you're disgusting because you don't agree with me politically. Like, there's a disdain, even though, half the country disagrees with her politically. A lot of really good, beautiful people disagree with her politically. Why is that associated so often with these liberal women who do these posts on social media?
Well, I have seen a lot of posts like that, but look, I'm just going to say she seems to know herself and what she wants really well, and she's going for it. So go for it. I actually don't have any ill feelings toward her at all because she's determined. I'm unwilling to move even an inch on my politics. But I do agree that she might be closing herself off to individuals that would be wonderful for her, including her now ex-boyfriend, because people change, people grow, and they shift their positions on issues here and there. I think it's wrong to think that, someone's political identity can't be fluid. I think it's fluid to some extent. What I find really interesting is that he agreed with her on social issues, and the agreement on social issues, it's what's really likely to lead to a smoother relationship. If he's more fiscally conservative, I don't think that's necessarily something that should be a deal breaker.
I'll tell you something, though. I'll tell you something right now, Anna. He didn't agree with her on social issues.
No way.
It was a lie.
Probably.
If he's fiscally conservative, he's not in today's social environment. Maybe like the social environment of 15 years ago, where the big thing was like gay marriage. You could be like a pro-choice, pro-gay marriage Republican, like a Rudy Giuliani. Right. But there is zero chance in today's day and age somebody who says they're fiscally conservative is actually socially liberal too. I don't believe it. So she was right that they had vast differences. I just find her so disdainful and unlikable. And women like that are giving like my liberal friends a bad name because she's so nasty and seems to be like playing fast and loose with this guy's feelings. Like he's a nothing to her just because he has different politics. All right, one more for you on the culture front. And this is another woman, and this is gonna take us to a place that I've really been dying to discuss. This is a woman named Paige Connell. She's a TikTok mom influencer, and she decided to post a very long. I watched I gave this woman 5 minutes of my life, which I'll never get back. It was all about how she's a working mom. Her husband works too. They have kids. She's very, very unsatisfied with the amount, or was, of housework and support he was bringing to the home, and she really had to lecture him into doing more. And then was extremely disappointed when he did not live up to like her expectations.
Okay, so here we have an influencer. She has time to be on TikTok to influence strangers who she doesn't know or who don't care about her. But she's upset with her husband for not doing more around the house. This is the psychotic female mind. They have no rationale. They have no logic. These are emotional beings. They have to be heard. They have to hear people validate what they say. And these are other dumb women on TikTok and that are just nodding and saying, "Yeah, go sister, your empowerment." Instead of being on TikTok or social media, do the dishes, honey. Get dinner ready. Pick up the kids off the bus. I mean, she's not scraping. She's not scraping by here. She probably has a dishwasher. She has a washing machine. It's not like she's hand cleaning clothes. She probably doesn't. She doesn't value her time, or she doesn't monetize her time very well. Monetize is not the right word. She doesn't control her time very well, and she's probably behind on stuff, and she's probably lazy. She's just a child. Let's hear what this chick has to say.
Let me play what we have of it. Saw 39.
My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time.
Look at
We had
the
been
lot,
together for
guys.
16 years at this point.
Like-
And on paper, I have an amazing husband, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And about 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying,
She said that women carry more weight of the family than a man does. This is the typical feminist nonsense that has poisoned young girls, young women, and broads like this to think that just because she's home a little more and she's around the kids a little more, that she has more pressure and more to worry about than her husband, who, by the way, is probably making a good amount of money because he's keeping that big house. He's keeping her fat ass in that big house. So this is what drives people crazy about women like this. She is so unappreciative of a man who values his family that she's going on social media and blasting out her dirty laundry. She doesn't have any dirty laundry. She's just bored. She's just a woman who is bored and has nothing, is looking in the mirror and probably seeing stretch marks and pissed off at that.
need more. I need you to do more. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets. I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time.
So he chooses you to be the mother of his children. He chooses you to share his life with, but you feel undervalued and disrespected. This is a sickness. Women, this is the reason why, sometimes I'm speechless over this stuff, because women never cease to amaze me of how stupid and vapid they are. I mean, look how caustic this broad is. I mean, she is out of control. And this poor guy probably he's probably like, an insurance salesman or something. He probably makes a good living because, again, like that looks like a pretty big house that they live in. And she has the time. She has the time to go on TikTok and do all this crap, berating her husband to strangers. This is why women need to be under control and not allowed to, go fast and furious on society, because they are just, this is terrible. I've always said that white women are the cancer of Western civilization.
We did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home.
Here's the thing that most men I follow on Twitter are responding to on X. They're offended that a wife would post a diss video about her husband on the internet in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, look, I have a broader point to make about that culture, and it goes well beyond wives posting about their husbands. Please stop airing your dirty laundry on social media. Honestly, have a little bit of respect, a modicum of respect for the people in your personal life, even if you're in the middle of a feud with them. How about respect their privacy and work it out privately. You don't need a bunch of random strangers chiming in on your relationship. I would never in a million years do that to my husband or my friends or to my colleagues, which has been done to me many, many times. I think it's disgusting. It shows a lack of maturity. Have the conversation privately, work out your own drama and your own issues privately. So that's point number one. Point number two is, look, a marriage, as I'm sure you know, it's a partnership. And I think when you fail to see it as a partnership and you instead kind of like tally who's doing what and whether or not you're, pulling your weight or he's pulling his weight, that's just a toxic environment to function in, to have a relationship in. And so I learned that lesson pretty early on in my marriage. I remember in the very beginning, it was like, okay, he's got his bank account, I've got my bank account, and he's going to pay these bills, I'm going to pay those bills. Sure. For some marriages, that works out. But I remember, Cenk Uygur, my co-host and the founder of the Young Turks, he kind of pulled me aside and said, you're kind of paving a path to a lot of conflict here. You have to see your marriage as a partnership and don't think of it as his money versus my money.
Mistake number one, marriages are not partnerships. Husbands, men are the leaders in the marriage. Men decide when to get married. Men decide when to have children. Women control sex. That's just what they do. That's their superpower, and that's their only superpower. That's their only worth. But it's the man who leads a woman into marriage. You have to remember that you are not entering her world. She is entering your world. Remember, Eve got into the Garden of Eden. That was Adam's world. She destroyed it, of course, because he let her, like many husbands do. But a man has to always lead the family. God, Jesus, man, woman, child. That's how it goes. That's the natural order of things. This is not a partnership. And this, we're seeing what a partnership means. Homegirl over here wants to keep her bill separate. I want to know what her husband was paying. Was she paying her car bill and her insurance and maybe her hair and nail bill? And he was paying for the mortgage on the house and, the vacays and the kids' clothes and all that other good stuff, like the heavy burden stuff. That's what I want to know.
And honestly, that was the best advice I ever got in my marriage. And we do really well together. And I don't, he's not keeping track of whether I'm pulling my weight. I'm not keeping track of whether he's pulling his weight. We have mutual love and mutual respect for each other. And we look out for each other. That's in my opinion, a successful marriage.
It reminds me of not your particular example, but, remember the Joy Luck Club, where one of the four women, it's all about these four moms and then their next people to make clear to women that they don't have to quote have it all, that like if they're heading to me right now. And that is like, as we have bent over backwards as conservatives or, right-leaning people to make clear to women that they don't have to quote have it all, that like if they don't want to work outside of the home and they want to be stay-at-home wives or stay-at-home moms too, like doing it all, that's a totally amazing choice. And no one should look down on it. It's the most important job in the world. It's literally the most important job in the world to be a mother and to raise good children. But like so many things, we overcorrect. We do it on the right.
There's always
the left does it too. And what's happening right now on the right to some extent is it's morphing into, and there's something wrong with somebody who works. And the women who work are less attractive and not good partners. And also, if you choose to work in like your 20s and your 30s and spend a lot of time at the office, you're effing up your whole life.
Okay, so here's where Megan gets it wrong. It's not that they're unattractive physically, and this is how women think when they use the term unattractive. It's not that they're unattractive physically. It's that they're unattractive personality-wise. You don't want the boss bitch. That's what guys don't want. We want feminine. We want a woman who is feminine, not bossy, not telling you how much money she's making or what kind of car she drives. Men don't care about that. Men don't care about degrees. Men don't care about how much money you make. Men don't care about your career. They want to know if you are right, if you're the right person to enter my world of peace and tranquility. And this is where Megan gets it wrong. This is where she gets it wrong. The most important job a woman has, the only job that a woman should have, is serving her husband, bringing his children into the world, and making a peaceful, tranquil house. And this is what these chicks just keep missing all the time. They're talking about career. Nobody cares about your career, dear. Nobody cares about Megyn Kelly's career. Nobody cares about this chick's career. We don't. Men don't value that. We want a half decent looking girl with a great personality who knows the order of things. Yeah.
You're not going to meet a man and you're not going to have a kid, even though that's not necessarily true. It's much easier to meet somebody and have a baby in your 20s because you're young and you got your totally golden eggs. But so many women have kids in their 30s. I mean, without fertility help. And we've just sort of gotten to this place on the right where the messaging to me is like, it's making me really uncomfortable. What do you make of it?
Well, it's always made me uncomfortable, especially because I think the best possible situation is the situation in which women get to decide, right? So if they decide they want to be stay-at-home mothers, I think it's important to have the economic conditions that allow for that to happen. And I have a lot of respect for stay-at-home moms. I agree with you. I think that's literally the most difficult job in the world. And it's important for kids to have that close relationship.
I want to know what's so difficult about being a stay-at-home mom when your kids are at school 6-7 hours a day. So from about 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., you're in the house alone. What, you got to wash some dishes and do some laundry and maybe vacuum here and there? What is so difficult about that? And when the kids come home, I mean, I don't know if kids do homework anymore, but when the kids come home, it's 3 o'clock. If they're outside or they're playing video games or studying or doing homework, then the husband comes home at 5. Just have dinner for him, and your day is over. What is so difficult about this? It boggles my mind how these chicks think. If this is what difficult is, my God, thank God the matriarchy wasn't in charge during the founding of Western civilization. We'd still be living in straw huts.
Relationship with their mother growing up, especially in like the formative years. But I do think that it's possible for mothers to work and still be great mothers. The thing is, a lot of women don't even have that choice. You get what I'm saying? Especially in this current economy with inflation. So I would love to live in a world where I could be a stay-at-home, housewife, but it's just not realistic. We got to pay our bills and we both have to work. But I really do think if we had that economic situation in place, a lot of women would choose to be stay-at-home mothers, and it should be their choice. I don't think it's anyone's place to judge the decisions that are made by any family, right? It's up to that family to decide what works best for them and whether or not they could afford the setup that they want to pursue.
But here's what's happening on the right. Young women, I talk to young conservative women all the time about their lives and their goals and, the things that they want. And what's happening is they can't find men who are maybe more conservative. Usually they're looking for somebody who is religious, like a lot of conservative women tend to be God loving conservatives. And they can't find a lot of young men who want to marry a working woman now. This is an actual problem that's coming up on the right. And to me, it's so sad because it's like, how did we get to the point where we're now telling young, conservative, amazing women that they're not attractive if they also work, if they choose to, let's say, do what I'm doing and what you're doing and like get their voice out there. But I'll stick with me just because I think conservatives listening to this will like the thought of another Megyn Kelly voice up and coming. Well, why wouldn't we want that? Why would we take somebody who's talented in this field and really wants to make a difference and have the messaging to her be, you're really not that valuable unless you give it up and go into the home and only have a family and only raise a family. And not only are we sending her that message, but young men are actually believing.
So about 2 minutes ago, Megyn Kelly says that the most important job, and this woman here says the most important job is to be a mother and to be in the home. But now it's kind of relegated to only being a housewife, only being a mom, only being in the home. So you're relegating the importance of being a mom, even though it's the hardest, most important job in all of human history. This is what drives me crazy about these chicks. We're not going to keep going with this, but they they just don't get it. They just don't get it. Is that that they have to they really do want it all, and they don't understand that having it all means that you're going to have an incredible burden upon yourself when you try to have it all, right? That's why men, you know, in the in the 50s and 60s and 70s, they were dying at the ages of late 50s, early 60s, because they had the burden of responsibility, of all the responsibility. And now these women, we're seeing women who are working workaholics, and they're career women, the big strong women, they have higher levels of depression. Cancer rates among them are skyrocketing. Alcoholism, they're more addicted to drugs. They're just walking zombies, and they don't know why. And the reason why is because they're not meant to be working career people. Men are. Women aren't meant to be in the military. Women aren't meant to be, leaders in industry. It's not within them. Women are nurturers. Women bring babies into the world and they raise them. Women serve men and they bring they make sure that their men are ready for the next day. But now that's all lost. That's completely lost. And Megyn may have to, listen, for Megyn Kelly, she makes a lot of money, so she doesn't have to worry. She can have it all because she makes a lot of money, and her husband's probably, simping, and I don't blame him. I mean, imagine Megyn Kelly makes about $10 million a year, looking like her. You hit the jackpot, bro. But who knows what she's like? She's good for a little bedroom fun, and you're gonna live in the big house, and you're gonna have the money. But my God, you got to deal with her BS. Oof. You better have the patience of a saint. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments about that. Women wanting it all, they'll never have it all, but those liberal chicks are going to be cat ladies forever, and they're so unlovable and they're so unloved. You can tell they're so toxic that they just can't. They just can't hide the fact that they're lost, and women are lost. Women need to go back to God, because this has become unbearable for Western civilization. All right, let's go to the man memo here, and we're going to talk about not having regrets and lost love, because a lot of these guys now, they've given up on women, they've given up on love itself, and I just want to give you a little bit of a perspective, a stoic perspective on love, and let's see what you think about it. Regret has a way of clinging to us, especially when it comes to love. The relationships that didn't last don't go away so easily. But we must remind ourselves that love, like anything else, is fleeting. Like victory is always fleeting. The Romans believed in that. To hold on too tightly is to guarantee suffering and misery. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things." Past relationships in itself is not a source of suffering. The attachment to it burns. Not willing to let go of the love story that you play in your head, what it meant, what it should have been, robs us of the present by shackling us to the past. The Stoics didn't reject love. They simply refused to be enslaved by it. Seneca wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love." He also taught us that true love does not possess, it accepts. Loving someone doesn't mean trying to keep them forever. It means appreciating them in the moment and understanding that all things, including love, are subject to change. You got to think of love like a butterfly, right? It lands in the palm of your hand. You may enjoy its beauty, but if you try to grip it too tightly, you'll either kill it or chase it away. Love is meant to be experienced, not controlled. And one of the greatest regrets is love. In love is the idea that we lost the one, right? There's no such thing as the one. Truth is, there's no one person meant for us. This belief is a fantasy that keeps men trapped in the past And that's what happens with a lot of guys. They keep thinking about the past, who this girl, and they romanticize her. They make her more, they hype her up to more than what she really was. And they just get lost in this fantasy of, the TV or the movie love story, the rom-com. Marcus Aurelius tells us, accepting the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together with, but do so with all your heart. This is very, very important. You cannot make the new person in your life. You cannot make them pay for the sins of the past. Do not make the sins of the past poison your future relationships. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the new person in your life. And that's why I think a lot of this manosphere stuff and red pill stuff, I think it's very, very toxic, because you could tell these guys have been burned before with their laissez-faire way of just being, not caring about people's feelings. You have to remember that you have to be the calm, stoic man. And stoic men don't go out to hurt people intentionally, women included. Women need leadership. They're lost. They don't need to be dumped. They don't need to be just a notch on a body count. They need us. They need us more than they'll ever admit, but they need us. And the past relationships that we mourn were meant to mold us, not to define our future. A man who dwells on lost love forgets the greatest truth of all. They were still here, that they're still here in the world. Love is not confined to one person, or one moment, or one memory. Love is just like life. It's an ever-moving ocean we were meant to flow with, not to be stagnant in the waters. Just don't float in the water. Move with the current. Frozen moments of a past life that no longer belong to us create the kind of regret that comes from a lost love. A regret wrapped in what ifs and should have beens. It's the kind of pain that lingers with a man when a man's alone with his thoughts, when he's replaying stories of missed chances and words that he didn't use. The Stoics knew this pain because they loved, they lived, and they lost. But their approach to relationships was rooted in a deeper understanding of impermanence. Epictetus famously said, when you kiss your child, your brother, your friend, remind yourself that you love a mortal love, right? Love dies. We're all mortal, and so is love. In the Stoic sense, love is not a possession. It's about appreciation, and the loss of love isn't a tragedy, it's a certainty. When you come to terms that the person you're with now may not be with you a month from now, you don't worry about losing them. You don't lose them. They lose you. And to regret a lost relationship is to misunderstand its nature. Love was never meant to be owned. Love is an experience. The moment we cling to love, we set ourselves up for suffering. And that's why men suffer in relationships more than women do. Feminism, of course, says that women suffer more. It's nonsense, because a woman can replace a man 10 minutes later. The Stoics teach us that our past relationships, no matter how they ended, were stepping stones necessary for the man that we're becoming. With that understanding, we find peace, true peace, that comes not from clinging from the past, but from embracing its lessons with gratitude and dignity. Gentlemen, do not chase these chicks. Keep your dignity. They're laughing at you with their friends and that sick little cabal that they're in. Always keep your dignity. We move forward with the knowledge that every loss has prepared us for a greater love, greater resiliency, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. And that's the man memo. Hope that helps. So if you found this helpful, I hope you did. I've learned a lot about love and loss because I've had a lot of love and I've had a lot of loss. And listen, I'm still here, and you are too. And I'm glad we're together. All right. Well, thank you for spending time with me. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And gentlemen, as I say all the time, be careful out there because Satan is always busy. Be a man, have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing for. We'll see you later.